week we're at Lanier, a pretty flat track where we should be in for another exciting finish. Welcome everyone to the 8th round of Season 10 for the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. We're here in Braselton, Georgia, just across the street from the road course Road Atlanta at Lanier. My name is Austin Belke, and on behalf of the Virtual Grip Network, my partner here in the booth, John Hine, our director, Mike Yao, as well as everyone behind the scenes at VGN, we welcome you to tonight's action. Lanier started out as a dirt track when it opened in 1982, and then shortly after that it was paved. John, you're our dirt racer here in the booth. What can we expect out of these things?
Lanier's a unique little track. It's used to run the World of Outlaws actually way back in the early 80s here, so it's got some rich history as far as dirt goes. But as far as iRacing dirt goes, this is a track that you can actually get multiple grooves out of it. You can run through the slick through the center of the track. You can go all the way down to the bottom. You can go all the way up to the top actually and rip the lip here. So, look for these guys to be able to move around, race side by side, which will be good for us, give us a lot of action. And, this is one of those tracks too that you can produce a surprise winner. Just, some guys really like this track. Some guys hate this track, and I've always said that, if you have a good attitude about the track, it's good for an extra tenth, and if you got a bad attitude, you might lose an extra tenth.
Fantastic insight there, John. Just a little bit more info about the track you can see on your screen right now. It's about 0.375 miles, and if you use the kilometers, it's about 0.6 of those. But John, you can see the race details on the screen there. Why don't you talk us through those?
Yeah, they're going to do qualifying, and it's 4 laps. You take your best lap average. So these guys, if they mess up, don't quite hit their marks quite right, they can take another shot at it. In fact, they got a couple of extra shots at it. So, that allows every driver in the field to get their very best lap in. Then we'll move on to the heat races, and those are 6 laps apiece. The top 4 transfer. Then if we have enough cars, we'll do a C main or a B main only. It'll vary between the two, and then we'll go to a warm-up, and then the big race tonight, 40 laps. We're going to start 24 cars, so I don't know exactly how many are in there yet, but you know what? It's not unusual for us to see some guys not make these races and have to go home.
That's right. We'll have to see how many guys show up. You always hate to be one of the drivers that shows up to this event and you don't get to race in the real one, though. We are going to do 40 laps green, though, so we're going to go ahead and dive right into the championship standings here as we see the backdrop of the drivers practicing out on track. You can see it's still Brandon Proudfoot out front, pretty healthy lead of about 51 points over William Hargraves. Every time William seems to be having a good race and Brandon is having a bad race, there, it always seems to flop right before the end, where Brandon will sometimes finish on the podium or at least in the top 5, and in the closing laps, William will usually kind of flounder a little bit and go sort of outside the top 10. So we'll have to see if that continues. Billy Northcutt, though, in 3rd place, is Sean Hayes in 4th. Jason Best rounds out your top 5. A couple of other notables there in the top 5 with him, the always aggressive Chris Davis, and then Jim Rivas up there as well. Jeffrey Harden, 9th in the points. A really good job out of him. Mostly a pavement racer, so to see him 9th and inside the top 10 here in points on the dirt side, pretty gratifying for him, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Andrew Clark is going to be there right behind him in 10th, and Wade Burris will be in 11th. So, you know what? Those are really the full-time guys there. As you look down at Jordan Gage, J.R. Shepard, who, we all know on Saturday nights has been hit or miss here on Friday nights, but he's always strong whenever he shows up. We go further down the list here, and you can see how many guys have started this, but, just because some guys are towards the back, like Steven Spies that are further down, those guys are all really solid dirt racers. Justin Morton, I don't know if he's in the house, but yeah, this is really exciting to see this many guys show up and take place here throughout the season here, and which provides great racing for us each and every week.
Yeah, a lot of guys out here in competition, and there's a lot of fierce competition just to make these events. I remember when we first started these in 2019 and then 2020, it was you showed up, you were guaranteed a starting spot, and then it got more and more competitive, and a lot of other people joined the league, and you really had to fight and claw your way into getting a top 20 starting spot. Originally we had 16, and then more and more cars from there. So now we're sitting right at about 24 cars for the main event here. But we look at these drivers practicing right now. We're looking at Hunter Hill in that number 12 machine. Jim Rivas, though, top of the charts.
Yeah, Jim Rivas is up there, and Brandon Proudfoot right behind him. But we've always said this here. You can't really look at the practice sheet. I always like to call it the ego sheet. You win practice; it's good for the ego. But some guys could have come into the server a little bit late and didn't get on the optimal track surface. The good has been knocked off by probably about 5 minutes in, 6 minutes into the practice or into practice here. So. But everybody is getting a chance to get out there and get a feel what their cars are going to do. Right now, the track conditions look a lot like what they will probably in the feature. So guys are going to know what they're going to have a little bit later on for sure.
Yeah, John, I was just going to ask you to kind of mention that, talk us through how the track changes. When these guys start practice, the track is effectively at a 0% state, which means basically completely green track. No cars have run on it. What does that mean for the grip? Is the grip then all the way down on the inside, or is everywhere grippy?
Well, everywhere is grippy, but to get the fastest lap, you're going to be right down against the near the wall there. Just to shorten the track up, you can barely have to lift. But as the track changes, as what they're now they're actually having to lift in the corner and kind of get the car to roll forward and keep the car moving forward. Because while these cars don't have a lot of power, you can still spin the tires in these things. And when you do that, you're just going to go nowhere. You're just going to kill your lap, kill your momentum. If you're wanting to make a pass, you're going to watch that guy drive in front of you if he's not spinning those tires. So right now is actually, even though you can get that fast lap and, like I said, go on the top of the ego sheet early on, this right now, if I was in a car, I would be making laps right now, because this is the kind of track where money time comes in. This is what's going to be at the end of the night. And this is where I want to know what my car will do, where I can run it, and practice the different lines.
John, you mentioned that too, the different lines. What do we expect the track to do here as the night goes on? Do you expect for those lines to go all the way up to the wall, or does it mostly stay about halfway up the track in these cars?
Yeah, I expect it to probably be 2/3 up. These cars don't have the power to get all the way to the top and make it fast. I've run here in sprint cars and stuff, and we're right up against the wall. And even the Pro Late, if the bottom goes away, you do kind of work your way up to the wall. But really about the only thing that I've been in here that where you're almost guaranteed to be up on that wall is a sprint car.
Riding along now with John Wilson from Canada. John's one of the guys that's gotten a lot faster over time. When he first started out in the league, I remember I was fortunate enough to race with him, and we were kind of fighting for a top 20 positions on a good day. On a bad day, of course, he just wouldn't make the field, go home immediately. But he's been steadily creeping further and further into the top 15 and then the top 10. You can see right now fastest time is good for 11th here. And like John mentioned, the ego situation, another driver that's gotten a lot faster over time is Ryan Seneker from Thunder Ridge Racing from West Michigan.
Oh, West Michigan. That's where I actually grew up, over in St. Joe Benton Harbor. So I guess maybe I'm going to have to pull for him, being from the same neck of the woods.
Yeah, another Virtual Group Network commentator, Kenny Kibbe from over on that side of the state. But these guys are continuing to put in their laps and see how the track is going to continue to progress as the night goes on. Just before we get into qualifying here, and John, you mentioned it earlier, I'm going to ask you again though, you really expect the qualifying laps to be done right against the inside wall there?
Yeah, depending on when the track, because they'll come back out and work the track a little bit. I do believe Lowell's been doing that. So depending on what the track state is, I would probably not run the same lap twice. I'd probably move around just a little bit just to see if I could get any more. Take that first lap maybe on the bottom. Second lap maybe a lane up, third lap a lane up from that, then whatever was the fastest, make my decision for my fourth and final lap to try to even get a better lap is what I would normally do.
Now, is this a time where you might pull kind of like a slider line in here, where you just kind of throw the car in the corner, gather it up in the middle, and then power it off, or do you kind of save that for later?
No, right now where they're practicing that, yeah, that's what I would do. And like I said, depending on where the qualifying starts, the track state, And it looks like it's resetting right now as we
Yeah, we did just see that right in front of our eyes there with the fantastic blimp view from Mike Yar, our director, getting us all the angles. And you can see Ryan Seneca, the first car out there on track, and completely green track. No rubber has been laid down, so it's still all tacky.
Yeah, so I would be towards the bottom to get around there. Maybe a half a lane up, maybe. And the best way to get a good lap here, especially early in qualifying, is that first lap. Get all the way out up against the outer wall to make that front stretch as long as what you can and build up as much speed to when you come take the green flag on a lap. And I think that's probably going to be the quick way to do that. Come around, take your checkered flag, run another lap, but then set yourself up for one more monster lap on the bottom by going back up against the wall and making that run.
You can see a bunch of guys just now getting their times, and you can see all the sectors down at the bottom of the screen. This being a traditional oval, it has two sectors, one for the first half of the lap and then another for the second. Yellow sector time on the bottom denotes a driver's not fastest time, but completion of a time. Green is personal best for the driver, and then if we saw a purple one out here, that would be the overall best in the session. You saw a purple sector come up for Jeffrey Harden, and then he was pipped by Carl Kilgore, and then you can also see those times denoted in the left-hand side of your screen. For instance, Townsend, he just put in a personal best lap, and then you can see Chris Hill on the bottom. He just put in the best sector time in Sector 1 so far.
Yeah, look at two. Second place there. Now falling back to third is Steven Spees, our in-race reporter. We'll have to grab him in a second and ask him how he got around this track. But good run for him in Northcutt. You're starting to see some of the usual suspects, so kind of creep back towards the top there.
Yeah, Spees is still definitely in there for sure. Another driver that's been getting faster and faster, Matt Shanoski, consistently making more and more races and then starting further and further up the field. He had a fantastic heat race and then beginning of the feature race last week before he was taken out in some accidents that were in his own doing. You see Jackie Whaley right now on your screen put in a best Sector 1 time.
And we got guys just taking those laps now, and you see a lot of guys that have not taken a lap though. Lon Franks, Brandon Proudfoot, two guys that you're going to expect to make some noise here on this list and maybe slot in towards the front of the pack here.
Yeah, Jason Best just now putting in a couple of his laps. He goes third fastest. Right now we're looking at J.R. Shepard. Currently his fastest lap good enough for seventh best at the moment before we get Brandon Proudfoot out there. He's usually one of the guys that likes to wait a little while to kind of see what his competition has been putting him down. And then, Brandon, he'll probably just go out there and, probably put another 10th or 100th on him.
Yeah, and there are a handful of guys that like to do that, and you know what, it works for them. I'd rather just get out there and throw it at it and see where I shake out and be done with it. But the guys that wait seem to go up towards the top, so maybe I need to reassess how I qualify.
I oftentimes think that as well. I kind of just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks at the end. You can see Brandon Proudfoot puts down a personal best in Sector 1, a whole session best in Sector 2. He goes fastest on the board, just 3 1,000ths of a second faster than Billy Northcutt.
Yeah, and if you want, though, like I said, we could grab Steven Spees. I think he's done with his qualifying and ask him.
Yeah, let's get Steven in here.
While you go grab him and whatnot, looking here at the board, like I said, still, Brandon goes late and gets in there and gets up towards the top here. Lon Franks, who's usually up, has not quite yet made a time in, so it'll be interesting to see where he slots in.
We do have Steven up here in the booth. Hey, Steven, Austin Belke, Virtual Group Network. You got a copy?
I got you, Austin.
Well, Steven, we saw you go out there, put down some pretty fast laps. Only good enough for 7th best at the moment, but you're usually someone that kind of performs a lot better in the race than just the raw qualifying pace.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the qualifying. It's been a long time since I've run anything on Lanier, much less a street stock, so I kind of was going by memory of where the typical line is. Usually it's pretty low, cutting down to the wall and keeping the car straight, and I think I probably could have been a little bit more aggressive and maybe squeaked out that last little tenth that I needed, but still pretty happy here.
Steven, in about 5 seconds here, tell me what the biggest challenge this track is going to present to you guys tonight as the night rolls through.
Yeah, it's most of all iRacing races. One lane, you got to get in the right one and hope for the best.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, Stephen. You're in the first heat here, so we'll go ahead and put you back down in the race server. Good luck, man.
Thanks, guys.
That was Stephen Spees, our in-race reporter. He'll be starting third in the first heat here. Carl Kilgore taking pole position with Jason Best in second to his outside. Stephen Spees, like we just mentioned, starting in third, with Kevin Moody starting in fourth.
Yeah, and starting in fifth will be Hunter Hill. Sixth will be Chris Davis. The last row is going to have Wade Burris and Chris Haslip.
Pretty stacked field here of, I'm going to call them sleepers. You know, they don't go out and win every single race, but they're always, at the very least, contenders for a podium. And then definitely all these guys are going to fill out the top five here, all the way down to even Chris Davis, starting in that fifth or sixth position as our counter kind of gets a little bit more laid out here. These guys just starting to pace.
Yeah, and any one of these guys, towards the front here can, definitely, like you said, be a sleeper, get up here and, make a spoiler for those top two guys in the points here. And I think this will be a good race to watch.
For sure. John, you think the inside line is going to be the better one, at least on the initial starts here?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where you're going to want to be, at least probably for the first, maybe even the second heat race. And I think that by that time, maybe the groove will get widened out. Maybe you'll start to see the top line start to prevail a little more.
For sure. You see the iRacing pace truck pull down pit road just ahead of these drivers. Carl Kilgore puts his foot on the loud pedal. He's uncontested as they head down into turns 1 and 2. Going to get that car right about 1 car width off the wall. Just behind him is our in-race reporter, Stephen Spees, right now challenging Jason Best for that second spot.
Yeah, and he's right down along the wall there, just kind of like what I suspected there. But I tell you what, Jason Best is not giving that position up. And look at them right on each other's doors coming out of 2.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to be careful, though, because just behind them is Hunter Hill.
Yeah, and what Jason's doing is being really smart. He's not allowing Steven to use the whole track, which means that coming out of the corners, he is not able to just get the run. Oh, you got some contact there as they come out of 2. But that's, and now look at this. Oh, man, now we got a 3-car battle for that second place position.
Yeah, they were about 3 wide going down into turns 3 and 4 there. And Jason Best was kind of being smart, kind of pinching Steven down there, but you kind of saw it, kind of backfire for him because Steven really needed about just another inch or 2 to go ahead and complete that pass, and they just made contact with he and Jason Best. And now Jason better be careful because in the next 2 laps here, if he gets passed by Chris Davis, he's going to be on pole for the last chance qualifier, at that point at risk of not even making the field.
Yeah, and there Wade Burris comes in and then gives him a shot too. So Jason, this is not the heat race that he wanted to be in. And I'm, if I'm in his shoes, there's steam coming out of the ears of my helmet here. So he's going to have to get back up on the wheel here and maybe try to chase Chris down. I don't know if he's going to have a time here in a lap here.
No, I doubt he will. They just went by to take the white flag. So coming across the start-finish line is Carl Kilgore to take the checkered flag here in heat number 1. The drivers advancing to the main event automatically are Stephen Spees, Hunter Hill, and Chris Davis. The lineup for heat number 2 has Brandon Proudfoot on pole with Chris Hill in second. Jim Rivas starts in third with John Wilson starting in fourth.
And starting fifth is going to be Bobby Hayes. Next to him is going to be one Matt Shanowski. And in the back row tonight is going to be Glenn Townsend and surprisingly Lon Franks. We usually don't see him back here, so that is going to be a person to maybe watch to see if he can get into a transfer position here.
Yeah, I think Lon had some internet problems and forced him to kind of join right at the tail end of qualifying, so I don't think he was able to put down a lap. I think he's just lucky to even be making the field at all. He must have only had 1 lap or something to kind of see where the grip on the track was before he was able to get going. But this race, a lot of fast guys. Some of our faster guys for sure in the series, like Brandon Proudfoot, the always seems like perennial champion. Chris Hill is outside. Jim Rivas had an off week last week, kind of performing outside the top 10, but he's on form today, qualifying in third for this heat race. And then John Wilson, the driver that just continues to get better and better each and every week, starting in fourth.
Yeah, and I tell you, that track is looking awful slick now, too. That's slicked up a lot more than what I anticipated it would, and Brandon Proudfoot gets a great start here as they go into one.
Oh yeah, huge start from Proudfoot, now uncontested for that first position. Chris Hill already being challenged by Jim Rivas for that number 2 spot. And look at John Wilson, he's already there to capitalize if either one of these drivers makes a mistake. Handful of opposite lock though, coming off the corner.
Yeah, these guys right now, you know, they're along the bottom there, but that you should be maybe testing maybe a little bit right above the slick now. I think you could probably start to make some runs up there. But I tell you, if you're sitting in that 4th position like John Wilson, you can't really do a whole lot because you got to stay honest, because if you open the door for the guy behind you, next thing you know, you're in the last chance qualifier.
Yeah, as we see Jim Rivas right now on the very back bumper of Brandon Proudfoot, taking a look to his inside if he can get there. Not quite able to get that inside call, so he isn't able to. Oh, he does dive it down in there. Wise enough to back out of the throttle before he made contact with Brandon.
Yeah, and here's Lon Franks, as we mentioned earlier, in the back. He has made up 3 positions here, and now the only one he's got to get is John Wilson there for that final transfer position, and he'll go directly to the A.
Yeah, he's been throwing some huge sliders into those drivers. Oh, one driver hard into the pit entry exit wall. That's Matt Shanoski. Hopefully he can get that car off the track before the leaders come back around to take the white flag. You see now Jim Rivas looking on the outside of Brandon Proudfoot, doing just like what you mentioned, John, testing the waters in the high line.
Yeah, and he gets back to his bumper coming out of turn 2 here. You know, it looked like he was almost diming the corner. See him, Rivas there going in high, and then kind of driving down the hill and trying to get that little bit of extra momentum as they come to the checkered flag here.
Yeah, Proudfoot taking victory here, followed by Jim Rivas, Chris Hill, John Wilson, the last driver to automatically advance himself into the feature event.
Yeah, Lon Franks finished 5th there, yeah, Lon Franks 5th, Bobby Hayes will finish 6th, Glenn Townsend 7th, and Matt Shanowski will finish 8th. Those 4 guys all are going to go to the LCQ tonight.
Yeah, best of luck to see if they can make the final spots in the field. Your heat number 3 lineup order going to start with Billy Northcutt in the 1st position. Jackie Whaley starts to his outside. J.R. Shepard starts in 3rd with Justin Simmons in 4th.
Jeffrey Harden's going to start 5th with Robbie Robinson starting 6th, and starting shotgun on the field is going to be West Michigan's Ryan Seneker.
Another bunch of heavy hitters here, John. You see Billy Northcutt, Jackie Whaley, J.R. Shepard doing really well here. And you know, one driver I really expected to see qualify a bit higher was Jeffrey Harden, but I think he just kind of barely missed the line. Usually he does start in the first half of his at least heat field.
Yeah, but Jeff is one of those guys, you know, you mentioned it earlier with Steven, you know, he's a solid qualifier, sure, but he's really good at racing and a better racer than he is a qualifier. And that's not to knock his qualifying attempts, but he is a guy that can wheel a car once you get into race conditions.
For sure, much like J.R. Shepard as well. J.R. Shepard always mentions he has a lot more race pace than he does in qualifying, and I think he shows that usually. You know, he just barely makes it into the first half of all of his heats, and then he's definitely a contender for the top 5s if he has a solid race in the feature event. But the iRacing pace truck going to pull down pit road in just a second here, give command of the field over to Billy Northcutt. Billy starting a lot higher up the track, so I think he was watching along in the broadcast, John, and heard what you mentioned about it's about time to test the waters on the high line.
Yeah, he goes in much higher there and is going to exit the turn much higher there to grab that tack down the back straightaway. And I suspect a monkey see, monkey do world on the track. You see a guy in front of you making a good run here. Look at the outside move here. That outside is now going to be able to challenge the guys on the bottom.
Yeah, hip check there for Justin Simmons from J.R. Shepard. Going to send him just barely up the track. J.R. Shepard going to take advantage of that, dives it down into 3rd place here. And here's Jeffrey Harden. You just mentioned this, John, trying to, you know, do some of that more racing pace, like we said, we usually see out of him compared to his qualifying efforts.
Yeah, and the other guy behind him, too, is in the same way as Robbie Robinson. You know, he's usually really, really quick once you get into racing. But, you know what, they're side by side here for that position, and that is a transfer spot. And right now, Simmons just able to nose ahead of Harden here for that position for the time being.
Yeah, Robbie. Now here's a guy. He does either amazing in qualifying or amazing in the race, and it always flip-flops. If he qualifies really well, he doesn't do as well in the race. And if he qualifies pretty poorly, he always does amazing in the race. So, fortunately for him, hopefully he didn't qualify so good, so he should finish pretty well in the race. As you see, Simmons and Harden just kind of taking blows at one another right now. Harden really good into the corner, and then Simmons really good coming out of it.
Yeah, it's I've been watching these two now as we got a white flag and more contact. These guys are leaning on each other, and on one hand it's nerve-wracking, the other hand it's fun from inside the car. We're going to see who gets this coming to the line.
Yeah, Billy Northcutt going to take victory over Jackie Whaley, J.R. Shepard, and then Justin Simmons, the last car to automatically advance into the feature event.
Yeah, and then from the outside looking in there, you're going to have Jeff Harden, Robbie Robinson, and Ryan Seneker rounding out that field.
Yeah, right now we'll move on to the heat number 4, the starting lineup. No, excuse me. This should be the C main. Yeah, so Hunter Hill's going to start on pole with J.R. Shepard starting to his outside. Jen Wilson going to start in 3rd with Jason Best to his outside in 4th.
Starting 5th is going to be Jeff Harden, and next to him is going to be Bobby Hayes. Starting the 7th will be Kevin Mooney, and rounding out the field then for this one is going to be Ryan Seneker.
Yeah, so you fans at home are probably questioning this just like John and I are. So apparently it was not the first 4 that we're going to automatically transfer today. It is only the top 2 from each heat. So in this race, there are 8 cars starting. Only 6 are going to advance to the feature. So we're still going to have 24 cars in the feature. It's just the road to get there a little bit different this time out.
Yeah, and also you have a different mindset where, before you knew where you're in, everybody had to race hard in those heat races because, it's a limited time. Nobody really breaks away from each other. You have to limit your mistakes. Well, this one, where you've got 6 going, if you're sitting 3rd or 4th, you've got to make a decision. How hard do you want to push at that point? Do you want to try taking another position? Because if you do make a mistake, you could find yourself on the outside looking in and going home after this race.
For sure. We just mentioned Hunter Hill starting in the pole position. He has chosen the outside, so definitely learned something from maybe he was watching the broadcast, listening to you, John. Maybe saw that last heat race with Billy Northcutt there. So iRacing pace truck pulls down pit road. The first 2 cars fire off very even as they head down into turns 1 and 2. J.R. Shepard on the inside, Hill all the way on the outside, going as high as he possibly can up on the track. And J.R. Shepard doing a really good job on the bottom, really stayed even with him through there.
Yeah, he did. And Hill went all the way up to the top part of the cushion there. Right now, I think I would be staying right above the slick in the corners, not going all the way up. Right there, like that line he has right there, is exactly how I'd be approaching these laps here if I was up top.
Yeah, and to your point, John, he cleared J.R. Shepard before they made it into the corner. He just had to back out of the throttle. You can see still right now just barely clear of J.R. as they head down the straightaway once they go into the corner because of tighter radius. J.R. kind of ekes back even with him, at least to get that call down on the inside. Jason Best now going to follow Hill.
Yeah, and JR is maintaining down there just because JR is so good with throttle control and rolling the corners, and that really plays to JR's strengths. And that's really allowing him to not let Hunter Hill get away there. But look who's sitting there 3rd. You're looking for a way around these guys. I'm not so sure that Jason Best in that 47 car isn't quicker than our 2 leaders.
I think he is, just in the fact that he's been able to stay right in the middle of that slick and kind of just stay on their back bumpers. You look at Bobby Hayes in 4th position, John Wilson behind these guys in 5th position. J.R. Shepard blinks out for just a second, but he's back right after that. J.R. still holding serve with Hunter on the outside.
He sure is, and JR has moved off the bottom, is running that middle groove now, and I had mentioned that earlier in the pre-race about having actually different lines to run. And that's coming to fruition here in the first LCQ.
Yeah, J.R. Shepard, he's caught back up to Hunter Hill. They kind of pull even now as they go down the straightaways. You can see J.R. to his inside, kind of just right there. They're neck and neck now, heading into turns 3 and 4. They're going to get the white flag this time.
Man, this is going to be close here because they're almost dead even at the line as we got 1 to go here as everybody goes through 1 and 2.
Yeah, at their line there, I'd be really curious to see what that was. They were dead nuts even, 0-0-0. The margin of a lap led there for Hunter Hill. They're going to come off turn 4 right now, and J.R. Shepard, I think, barely getting 2 100ths of a second.
Yeah, that's you can't get a whole lot closer than that there.
No, I don't think racing gets any better than what we just saw there. That was fantastic between those two drivers. And how about that rally back for J.R. Shepard? That was really good by him. So, like we just mentioned, J.R. Shepard in first, Hunter Hill in second, Jason Best finishing in third, and Bobby Hayes in fourth.
John Wilson was fifth there, and we had Jeffrey Harden behind him. And the two guys that won't make it from that race will be Ryan Seneker and Kevin Moody.
Yeah, very unfortunate for both those drivers going to be going home. We have 9 drivers in this field, so the last 3 aren't going to make it into the feature. It's a full Chris front row with Chris Hill on the inside starting on pole, Chris Davis to his outside as they sit right now. Justin Simmons going to start in third with Lon Frank starting fourth.
Starting fifth is going to be Wade Burris. Next to him will be Robbie Robinson. Starting seventh will be Glenn Townsend. Next to him is Chris Hazlip. And shotgun on the field is going to be one Matt Shanoski.
Yeah, Matt Shanoski, a pretty good friend of both John and mine. A very good guy. We both like Matt quite a bit.
Yeah, and as I see his name, he had a problem with his pedals last week, and I promised him that I'd help him out, and I realized I completely forgot. So, Matt, if you're watching this, very sorry, and I'll probably have to get with him later and beg him for forgiveness.
He'll probably forgive you. Very nice guy. The Professor John Hine, always willing to lend a teaching hand, kind of let you know where you're going wrong. You taught me a lot of stuff about dirt, but these guys now heading down the backstretch. And John, you think the inside's stronger, or you want to be in the middle right now?
I'm going to say it's going to depend on your driving style. Some guys can get around the top a little quicker. I would be up top, but you saw JR, and you know how he is. He made that middle work.
For sure, lots of guys preferring either all the way down on the inside or all the way down on the outside. Like you, I prefer it to be around the outside, kind of ripping the lip on the high side. And then you got guys like Steven Spies wanting to be on the bottom, just where Wade Burris is right now in that number 5 car.
Yeah, it was right on board, and then now we look at the guys going in. They're still just like they lined up, almost 2 by 2 by 2 for the first 3 rows here.
Yeah, Chris Davis looks like he has a lot of speed to show in that car. Excuse me, that was Chris Hill and the 05 there all the way down at the bottom. Now taking a little bit of an improvised line between all the way on the bottom and that high line. Kind of enters in pretty low, drifts to the middle part of the track, kind of diamonding the corner like you mentioned earlier, John.
Yeah, and watching these guys go side by side, and again, you know what, that bottom to the top looks pretty even, and it's just going to come down to driver, I think. As long as you can roll the center on the bottom, you're going to be competitive. So if you've got the discipline to stay out of the throttle and get back in the throttle just right, you're going to be fast on the bottom. And you know what, if you get up top and you can still work your throttle the same way, I mean, the same stuff applies. You're going to be quick on top. As now you see Chris Davis get an advantage running that high line, and you see Lon Franks right up there up top with him trying to come around and move into second.
Yeah, you saw Lon Franks catch these guys just as you were talking there, John. You saw him deciding whether he wanted to go on the bottom or wanted to go on the top, and then at that point, they're 3 wide now as they head down the front stretch. Still 3 wide as they go down into turns 1 and 2. You see Chris Hill just barely have to back out of it there. He's going to relinquish himself into 3rd position. Pretty safe for him. He doesn't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize making it into the field or not. You see Lon Franks down in the bottom, and Lon had to really decide which of these guys is faster. At the end, he chose to follow Chris Davis, and that's really working out very well for him.
Yeah, and Lon's making it work almost like that same line that JR did, pretty much in the slick, almost to the middle there, but Davis is holding on here, be able to, run that just right. Now we're on the white flag lap. I think we're going to get another photo finish here.
I think so. The margin of lead there was only 0.2 of a second, so they go into turns 3 and 4. Now I think it's going to be Lon Franks here at the line, but it's going to be a drag race, and it looks like ooh, that could have been Chris Davis. It was. Half the margin of victory, almost exactly, as the last race where J.R. Shepard barely edged out the competition. So the finishing order, got to be Chris Davis taking home victory, just about 1.5 hundredths of a second. Lon Franks in second. Chris Hill finishes third. Justin Simmons in fourth.
Robbie Robinson will be fifth. Wade Burris sixth. Glenn Townsend's going to be seventh. He'll be the first of the drivers going home tonight, along with Matt Shanoski and Chris Hazlip.
Yeah, absolute heartbreak for those drivers that don't end up making it to the field here. But now we're seeing all these drivers come back out on track. And John, this is especially crucial if you're a driver that maybe came out in the first couple of heats, advanced automatically, and didn't have to race in either of those last chance qualifying races to kind of see where the grip is. You've probably been watching along with us. Fingers crossed you were kind of watching the broadcast while you're doing it to listen to us talk on the YouTube about this race and commentate. You see Steven Spies jump into the picture. We'll get a word with him in just a couple minutes here.
Yeah, it's a big deal to get back out on the track, especially if you're in Heat 1 or Heat 2, because that track is significantly slicker than what it was then. So now you got to get out there and figure out, okay, where am I going to run? Where is it viable? You watch the heat races, and you saw the lanes that were working, and the thing is, we saw two finishes that a bumper basically decided to race, so nobody knows which lane is actually quicker because, well, they've been dead even the last two races. So you want to get out there and figure out, okay, my driving style is going to fit here, and this is where I need to attack when I attack. So this is all going to be about creature comfort on the track right now.
Yeah, John, I was just going to ask, if you're someone that really likes to be on the bottom, is that maybe where you'd be faster, even if, say, one or two car widths up the track was the fastest line? Maybe if you're down there, a couple hundredths of a second, the difference between those two, you might as well just be faster on the inside line?
Yeah, very much so. It all is going to depend on, how you are on your pedals, with your footwork here. It's going to be so important, no matter if you're on the bottom or the top. And it'll be real easy to look, wow, that bottom is a lot faster, but the guy that's driving that you're watching could just be really good on there, and the guy that might be on top might be, I don't know, maybe going a little bit too high, or maybe overusing his throttle and getting a little bit of tire spin. So there's so much at play there that it's really tough to see with the naked eye. But like I said, it just all goes back to driver and how you approach, and my guess is here you can make any line work.
For sure, yeah. One driver almost going all the way up to the wall was Carl Kilgore. We're getting another good look here at Jim Rivas, and while we're kind of talking and chatting, let's see if we can't bring Steven Spies up into the booth.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'd be interested to get his take on what this track is doing.
Steven Spies, welcome back to the booth. Great job there, advancing in your heat there, so you didn't even have to do the last chance qualifier. I assume you're out there just trying to get a good feeling for the track. It's been a while since you've been out there.
Yeah, just trying a few different lines, trying to see where I might want to try to put it in the feature here. So, long race, try to ride along and just kind of see how the track develops. But looks like it's getting pretty wide here. So we may have a couple of racing lines, though.
Yeah, Steven, I think you're going to start in row number 2. Is displacations come into factor here for the first half of the race, or are you just going for it?
No, I'll just ride and kind of see how things play out, and just try to keep up with whoever's in front, and it's for fun, and if we can get up on the podium, we'll be thrilled. If not, that's all right. Just as long as we get to finish the race.
Steven, right now, though, you said it's wide, and there's definitely options out there. Have you found an option that you like better than another?
Not just yet. I'm thinking that you might be all right almost no matter where you're at, honestly. It feels like just trying to get a couple of laps in down low here. Seems like the lap times are pretty similar to what I was running on the top and through the middle, so this might be an exciting one.
Yeah, I was mentioning earlier that the guys in the previous races didn't do you guys any favor and show you guys the preferred line, because they look pretty even throughout the thing. So I tell you, do you expect it to widen anymore, or you think the cushion's gone about as high as what it's going to go here?
I think it can get all the way up to that wall, so it's going to be tough to get all the way around the top, but it's a long way around, but as the bottom gets slicker, it slows down too. So like I said, it could be an interesting one.
Well, I tell you, you said, you just got to be patient here, and I've been in front of you before. You stalked me the whole race and pulled the last lap pass here. Are you seeing any indication out there, if you're sitting there riding second with 2 or 3 to go, where you can go?
I'm not sure what we're going to be able to do just yet. Kind of keep it in our pocket and see what happens in the real deal here.
Well, my friend, good luck here.
Thank you.
Yeah, Steven Spies keeping his cards close to his chest. Thank you so much for your time, Steven. Best of luck, man.
Thanks, Austin.
That was Steven Spees. We're going to get you guys, though, to your starting order here for the feature event. Carl Kilgore going to start on pole with Brandon Proudfoot to his outside in second. Billy Northcutt starts in third with Steven Spees, our in-race reporter, to his outside in fourth position. Row number 3 is going to be Jim Rivas on the inside, Jackie Whaley on the outside. J.R. Shepard starts in seventh with Chris Davis starting in eighth position. Hunter Hill lines up ninth and Lon Frank starts 10th. Jason Best starts 11th and Chris Hill starts 12th.
The starting 13th tonight is going to be Bobby Hayes. Next to him is going to be Justin Simmons. 15th position tonight is going to be one I think I'm going to watch and see if he can't come a little further up here. I'm a little surprised he's this far back, but that's John Wilson. Next to him is going to be Robbie Robinson. Starting 17th will be Jeffrey Harden. Next to him will be Wade Burris.
Yeah, Robbie's one of those drivers, just like John Wilson. Usually you see him do a lot better in the race, and Robbie, like I mentioned earlier during his heat race, kind of one of those drivers that flip-flop of his performance. If he qualifies well, he doesn't necessarily do as well in the race, and usually he'll just get taken out. It's not something he does, and then if he does qualify badly, he'll usually have really good luck in the race. So we'll see if that comes true once again today, but these cars kind of going around the track now. And John, this is the most cars we've had out on the track all night, so definitely stirring up a lot of dust if you're selling about 5th or 6th on back.
Yeah, and the fact is, too, this track really invites you to want to drive it in hard here. And, you're not going to be able to as slick as it is. So, this early lap or two, that might present a problem for guys because those cars are going to move around. They're not going to stick as they would. So they might slide up a half a lane and contact could happen because of that.
The iRacing pace truck pulls down pit road. Carl's fast to get on the accelerator, pull away from the field. Great start for him. Brandon Proudfoot really holding on strong on the outside. Now going to follow Carl right through the middle there as you see Billy Northcutt on the inside. The first 3 drivers now single file. The first battle for position side by side at least is going to be in 5th or 6th spot now.
Yeah, and it's a hornet's nest from there on back to, you can just catch them out of the corner of your eye. There is... 2-3 wide all the way back down the back straightaway here. So, these early laps, you kind of do want to get what you can get here before it gets settled in. But, boy, you're busy inside those cars. You're trying to make passes. You're trying to, keep track of where everybody is around you. And crazy time to get rolling.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that too, that you're busy in these cars, but the fastest drivers usually have the least busy hands. If we look at one of the top 2 drivers in cars there, you're going to see very, very smooth hands. They go into the corner, clock the wheel sideways to the left, and then they're kind of just using that oversteer to kind of get the car to rotate around. Right now we ride along with Brandon Proudfoot. You can see not a whole lot of movement in the center of the corner there, mostly just looking at the, about 5 or 6 o'clock on the steering wheel as he goes through the corner. He's just setting it up there and watch how perfectly still it is in the center of the corner, and then just using that oversteer to kind of rotate the car on exit.
Yeah, and the guys up front here, they were mostly single file, and as you see Brandon, you don't have to worry about sliding up a little bit. You hit your marks, but if Brandon's a little quicker than Kilgore at this point, that's where you can get a little busier. You want to make sure you don't run into the back of him, but to get a run on somebody, you have to be tucked up right behind them. I mean, almost touching their bumper to get that run, and sometimes that's really tough to do. If you start to roll the center a little bit better than they do, you can make contact. But Brandon's doing a real good job here of just clicking laps off and trying to probe for weaknesses, I'm betting.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of go through the field here and look at all these cars going. You saw Steven Spees just about to be under pressure from Jim Rivas. The first side-by-side battle we have is J.R. Shepard on the inside of Lon Franks there. And J.R. has been using the inside line for a while. When they first started, Lon got to his outside and then passed him. And then Chris Davis ended up passing J.R. as well. And then J.R. has been fighting back slowly but surely to pass Chris Davis back and now be on the inside of Lon Franks. A ton more battles, though, as we go down the track. Whoa, J.R. Shepard getting really sideways though from Lon Franks. I feel like that's a lot of net code there.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Jared. Jared's now going to have to shake that off and go back to work. And that actually looked a lot like 2 guys maybe going for the same spot there. I don't know if Lon got up there and moved him or not, but I tell you, sometimes these cars, they got fenders. Guys like to use them, and and it can work as long as you don't wreck the guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say too for sure it was just a door banging happening. Yeah. I think some of that was JR's internet. You saw it kind of blinking there in his heat race and then in the feature event here. So It could just be a
Absolutely.
situation where JR blinked out and Lon assumed that he got a really bad run, got that clear inside, and kind of just went down to the bottom to straighten out the corner. You see Lon still using that high line. The always aggressive Chris Davis right now running along in 8th position. As we go up to the front, though, Brandon Proudfoot's kind of peeking his nose to the inside. Now Jeffrey Harden racing side by side with that number 33 car of Justin Simmons, and J.R. Shepard just kind of creeping along in the back, and it looks like Brandon got a really poor run out of turns 1 and 2 that time, and now he's under attack from Billy Northcutt in 3rd.
Yeah, and that's, when you're following somebody and you got somebody then behind you and you want to get around the guy in front of you, sometimes you have to weigh exactly where you want to make the pass, because if you do it and it doesn't work out, that other guy, chances are more times than not, it's going to open the door for that guy behind you. So, you'll hear guys, well, yeah, so-and-so was behind me, keeping me honest, and that's exactly what they mean here. If Brandon wanted to try and, let's say, go up high and it doesn't work for him, you look at the line behind him, all of a sudden Brandon could very easily slide back to 5th or 6th here. So, you really got to think things through before you do them when you're up front like this and everybody's nose to tail.
Yeah, and there's 2 ways that these guys are keeping each other honest, and Carl Kilgore only has to be honest in one way. He can't make any mistakes. Brandon Proudfoot needs to be honest in 2 ways, and those are the guys like Billy Northcutt keeping him honest in those 2 ways. One is to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes. If he misses this line, slips up a little bit far in the corner, just doesn't drive it perfect, Billy's going to be all over his rear end and passing him. So Brandon needs to be perfectly honest in 2 ways, says to the rest of these drivers, and one driver that only needs to be perfect in one right now is that number 9 car of Carl Kilgore. Of note, J.R. Shepard has mainly disconnected. You saw JR falling off the pace quite a bit, so I feel like that damage from making that contact with Lon Franks probably knocked the steering out of his car. And of course, you can't really pit, especially not under green in these races, so without the caution there, JR kind of forced to just retire.
Yeah, we're riding along with Steven Spies here, and these guys are just threading a needle here. There's not much room between any one of them, and being in the car at this point too, when you're like this, it always seems like you feel like you're faster than the guy in front of you. Now, that may or may not be the case, but I tell you, you feel like it. And that is where impatience can start to get in, because if you feel like you're faster than that guy in front of you and he's holding you up, man, that's when you really want to say, all right, I'm coming through. I got to make something happen here. And, Steven's kind of looking to the outside here. So, we're in the second half of this race now, so you really got to start thinking about making some moves.
Yeah, for sure, and oftentimes it's not even just I'm faster than this guy, it's this guy can't pass the driver ahead of him, and I know I could if I were in that position because he's the one slowing us all down. So you kind of say, I'll pass you, and then you can watch me pass the guy that you can't pass right now. As you see all these guys kind of looking to the inside of one another. Brandon Proudfoot really seriously looking to the inside of Carl Kilgore, and I think Billy Northcutt's right there just trying to pick up the scraps if anything does happen. Steven Spies is the next driver in line, really trying to make something happen behind Billy Northcutt. These guys kind of all just nose to tail. Huge gap, though, from Jackie Whaley to Lon Franks, the drivers in 6th and 7th. Jackie is the last driver in this kind of main pack of leaders, and then there's about 2.5 seconds back to Lon Franks, currently battling with Chris Davis.
Yeah, Ron is going to need a caution to get up here and get into this fight, but for right now, it's basically about a 6-car battle here for the lead here, nose to tail. And we saw this last week at Talladega with the Cup guys. Okay, who's going to make a move and when? And who's going to go with who? And it's funny, we're not at Talladega and we're definitely not drafting, but a lot of the same thoughts are happening right now.
No, for sure. And if any one of these drivers tries a different lane, say all the drivers that like it in the 500 at Daytona, we're all on the bottom. If one guy goes to the top, either the guy behind you can go to the top with you, have faith that you can make the pass, or he doesn't. He kind of just says, you know what, I'll catch you out. You see Brandon Proudfoot look to the inside of Carl Kilgore. Those two made a lot of contact, and that was Brandon Proudfoot really having to gather it up off of turn 4 there. Did a whale of a job saving that thing. You said Billy Northcutt, I'm sure his eyes were really, really wide there, saying, oh, there's my opportunity. I got to get there. And then it's closed up. Steven Spies. Yeah, Steven Spies also involved. I think Jim Rivas, another one of those drivers, facing the wrong direction out on the track. We're going to get a replay of this here to see the cause for caution. I'll be interested to see if that was Billy Northcutt kind of just over-rotating the car. No, I think Steven just went in there, barely net coated them, and these cars are so close to the limit of grip. They've just barely a push, just a tap can send these cars around. That's going to be our first caution of the day, though, here on lap 27. So these guys doing a really awesome job of keeping it clean and green here tonight.
Yeah, what a great start to the race there, getting 28 laps into the books here right off the bat. But, you know, like I said earlier, you just got to be right on that guy's bumper. And, you know, that is just so tough. And if that guy slips up a little bit or spins the tire more than what you anticipate, that kind of stuff can happen. But they're getting ready to double them back up here. And you know what? You're going to see the intensity and the sense of urgency pick up a lot right here.
Yeah, and of course there is the old verbiage, cautions breed cautions, so definitely expect to see a lot more cautions here before the end of the night. If you're wondering where Steven Spies went, he is right now in 7th position. Of course, Billy Northcutt right now all the way down in 17th. The green flag flies again, though. Used drivers all over the track, 2 and 3 wide, all the way down through the pack. They're Noah's Ark style we have another caution.
Yeah, and just real quick, look at the cat that's in 3rd place there, Lon Franks, that first caution that we had. He really benefited from that. Not only made up that distance, but also is now up here challenging for the win.
Yeah, and of course these cars, John, don't really have a whole lot of tire wear, mostly just tire heat, so kind of is a lot of just, you know, if you buy your time, you might not necessarily have the most speed in the car, but you have kind of saved your stuff, per se, by the time of the end.
Yeah, and you just want to make sure you have as little damage as you can, because you know, the iRacing model, if you do damage your car, you can have some issues here. But you know, they're going to line up back up here, and like I said, the intensity, you know, the sense of urgency all the way through the field is going to be twofold from what it's been now. You know, we're 12 to go here, and hopefully we can get the last 12 laps under green flag. But I tell you what, all that give and take we saw earlier is going to become all take now. And yeah, that can be exciting for us, but sometimes that can cause some guys to go around and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. You see these guys now pacing side by side as before they go ahead and take the green flag one more time here before the end of the race. That was Jim Rivas was the cause for caution last time. Just kind of a self-spin in turns 1 and 2 there to bring out the caution. These guys now going through turns 3 and 4 for the final time before they get the green flag once more. You see a really good start by Brandon Proudfoot on the outside, really keeping Carl Kilgore honest down on the inside.
He is, and this is going to be interesting to see. Does that outside have what it had in those LCQs? Because if it does, you're going to see Proudfoot be able, Proudfoot bobbled there, and that's going to open the door for Lon Franks to move into second here as we come on 10 to go.
Yeah, I don't think that was so much a bobble out of Proudfoot. I think there was Carl Kilgore kind of just drifting up in the center to kind of make sure that Proudfoot couldn't even make anything happen. As you can see, this fantastic angle of most of the field here by Mike Yao, our director and producer. You can see Lon Franks now looking to the inside of Kilgore. He's just seen what happened to Brandon Proudfoot when Proudfoot tried to pass him on the outside. Now you see Kilgore riding the wall now almost, not making contact with, but using every single bit of that cushion he possibly can. They're 3 wide for the lead here, John.
Yeah, they are. Now we're going to find out which lane really is the fastest, the top, the middle, or the bottom. And Lon's going to go all the way up top with Kilgore, and you got Proudfoot all the way at the bottom. And Whaley is also at the bottom here. So, oh, man, these are just straight-up drag races coming out of the corner down the straightaways.
Yeah, if there's one driver that can make the inside work right now, it is Proudfoot. It looks like the outside lane is just a little bit stronger. You see Kilgore just barely pulling away from Proudfoot. Lon Franks thinking the middle is faster. He's going to try and at least straighten his exit there, kind of using a bit more of a middle line than Proudfoot right now. I think Proudfoot is still faster than Franks, being that one additional car width down to the inside, but I feel like all these guys still chasing after Carl Kilgore. Now, typical dirt track racing here. You see Brandon Proudfoot trying the outside to see if how much grip there is out there. He tags the wall off turn 2.
Yeah, I'll be honest, this is the first street stock race I've seen in a long time go that far up the track. That usually does not happen here. I mean, far and few between, but they're running that sprint car line up top now.
Oh, yeah, Brandon Proudfoot making hard contact with the outside wall. Look, there's Steven Spies still holding on to that top 5 position, just barely in 6th or 7th place. It's so hard to tell with these drivers being 2 or 3 wide where the advantage is. You see Lon Franks now goes to the top of the track. Jakey Whaley now trying the inside.
Man, this is one of those where now I kind of wish I was in the car running up top like that. I like being right against that wall. And look at Proudfoot. He's tapping that wall. He's in that Kyle Larson line now, way up top there trying to widen that track out.
Oh yeah, video gaming it up there, almost barely making contact with it every single corner. Billy Northcutt trying to gain as many spots as he possibly can. He still wants to make sure his name is one of the ones going for the championship here, as we only have 4 weeks after this one. So now's the time that's really going to make or break your mid-season, is how you finish these next couple of weeks to make sure your name is still one of the ones in the hat for the championship going.
Yeah, we're getting down to it here. As they come out of the corner here, you're going to get the popsicle sticks with the flagman. 2 to go, and oh, man, I tell you what, Carl Kilgore looks like he's got this in hand at this point.
Yeah, of course, there comes the commentator's curse. We'll have to make sure that he doesn't do anything or, have the power go out or lose internet connection at his house. But he still has about a half a second lead here over Proudfoot, and they're all using the same line. So not only will they have to catch him, but catching is one thing, passing is another. Though we have taken the white flag, that means there's 1 lap to go. The closest battle on your screen right now, at least for a podium position, is between Proudfoot and Lon Franks. Lon Franks going to pull a huge slider down to the inside. Proudfoot sees it coming, does the old over-under on him, barely gets second place on him. Margin of victory there, just about 7/100ths of a second. But the big winner, taking home the checkered flag here, is Carl Kilgore. You can see the rest of the field 3 wide all the way to the checkers there. Going through your finishing order, Carl Kilgore, like we just mentioned, comes home in first position. Brandon Proudfoot, our championship leader, in second place. Huge haul of points for him tonight. Lon Franks in third. Huge recovery from him. Definitely a hard charger from the beginning of the race. A very poor qualifying effort from him. Jackie Whaley going to finish in fourth. Then the always aggressive Chris Davis comes home, rounding out the top 5. Chris Hill finishes 6th. Their in-race reporter, Steven Spees, finishing in 7th place. Hunter Hill finishes in 9th. Billy Northcutt finishes in 10th. And Jeffrey Harden going to round out your top 10.
Yeah, Jason Best is going to finish 11th here tonight. Justin Simmons 12th. Robbie Robinson's going to be in 13th, followed by Jim Rivas in 14th. Bobby Hayes will come home 15th. 16th will be Wade Burris. 17th will be John Wilson. And rounding out the field is going to be one J.R. Shepard here tonight.
John, that was quite an exciting race.
Yeah, it was. It was clean, hard racing there all the way through the pack, and some guys had a little bit of bad luck. Some guys, you got to take your hat off to Carl Kilgore. He grabbed a hold of the lead early on, didn't put a tire wrong all night. He adjusted when he started to think he's started the race at the bottom, and by the end of the race he was up top. So he was reading the track correctly, put that car in the right spots at the right time, and he's going to be celebrating a victory lane here.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to give these drivers just a little bit longer before they come up and get ready for their interviews. We did kind of roll through the finishing order quite fast, so we'll see if we can't go for a quick commercial break so we can do it now instead of at the very end. Welcome back, everyone. Here to interview our big winner tonight, Carl Kilgore, with us. Hey, Carl, you got a copy?
I got you loud and clear.
Carl, great job winning this race tonight. You really just did everything you needed to, leading from flag to flag, especially there at the end, winning by about over a half a second, just using that high line. You really went all over the track.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be on the bottom early from the warm-up, so we stuck with the bottom line on our lane choice for most of the race. And then late in the race, I felt like the car started going away. And I always, it's a little tricky to find out when the top's going to be here, and we picked it up at the right time.
I was just going to ask, you guys are riding around on the bottom. The farthest we've saw anyone go, not even you, was Proudfoot just behind you, was about the middle of the track. And as soon as you got challenged, you just kind of darted up to the top. Did you know there was going to be a lot of grip there, or was that just kind of a last chance defensive move for you to make sure that no one could really challenge you?
We knew it would come in sooner or later, or if it would come in at all. but I figured right on that last caution, I went up to the top of the racetrack, and I kind of felt a cushion up there, so I done made my mind up if somebody got under me that I would go ahead and try it. And Lon got under me coming out of 4, so we said, what the hell, we'll send it.
For sure. Carl, is there anyone you want to thank for your win here tonight?
Oh yeah, I got to shout out my Julius and C Speed Shop. First of all, they got me on board, got me on the team again. CFM Esports, CFM Designs by JD, Big Owl Lubricants. Got to thank BRL for putting the league on and all that. Got to thank y'all guys for broadcasting, giving them to a way to watch us. Usually I can't talk now.
No worries, Carl. Once again, congratulations tonight. Thank you so much for your time. I think John Hine is caught up with our second place driver, Brandon Proudfoot. John?
Yeah, Brandon, this is John up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I got you.
Well, man, that was an exciting race. Nice long green flag runs, a lot of pretty fierce competition out there. But one thing I noticed here through the night, it's about as high as I've seen a groove widen for the street stocks here. Tell me how that track developed through the night and how you reacted to it.
Yeah, here especially in the street stocks, because we don't got the horsepower really to spin the tires, especially on the exit, as long as you got your car straight. Tracks like here at Lanier, where you don't have that progressive banking like you might see at Charlotte, or even the complete opposite, where you've got little to no banking to help you, say at Williams Grove. Here at Lanier, it's kind of smack in between. We do have a little bit of a banking, but I believe it's only about a 2-degree progressional embankment. So it's maybe 10 degrees at the bottom, and you have that little shoulder kind of like lip at the bottom where it completely flattens out, and then you've got the top. Until that cushion really gets worked in, really only do you start to get a little bit more of that progressional angle, and it's really a waiting game, especially in the street stocks, for that to show up.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really surprised that you guys actually made it up that high up there. But, you started that last restart on the outside, which would have put you at the end of the night, the preferred lane there. Is there anything you kind of wish you would have done a little different on that restart and maybe stayed up there, or you just threw everything you had at it?
But just like how you said, previous seasons here at Bootleg, we never usually get too far up there, and I felt I had Carl beat on the bottom. I was keeping the car relatively straight throughout the night. Even I think I was dead straight 3 and 4. I wasn't really turning too much to the right. I was keeping the car real square. So I felt I had the tire advantage a little bit on the bottom there towards the end. So if he made the click to go to the top and it didn't work, I had my fingers crossed that it would be able to hold. Unfortunately, he made that snap decision and went to the top, and it was the right choice. And I held out, I think, for about 3 laps, and eventually I followed him up there. It's the name of the game. It's making those decisions, making them at the right time.
Absolutely. But hey, you know what? A good points night coming home P2. You keep your rivals behind you. Anybody you want to give a shout out to here for your great run here tonight?
Fistful of bourbon, winners get whiskey, baby. Congratulations, Carl. Finally got one. You deserve it. General Tire, Vision Wheel, Next Level Racing, Sans Racing Fabrication, Yes to Motorsports, all the guys that host the league and do the replay review in the background. You guys here at Virtual Grip Network, and for having the broadcast and keeping us on for as long as y'all have. Fiance and family roots me on, and all the drivers that come back keep that beautiful car count going. Thanks, guys.
That's Brandon Proudfoot, once again, our second place finisher here tonight in the Street Stocks.
I've caught up with Lon Franks. Lon, definitely not as good as you were finishing last week, but still a really good result. I'm really curious, though, kind of what was the difference, in your qualifying effort today? So you started pretty deep in the field.
No, I missed qualifying. My VR mask was acting up, so I had to reboot everything and missed cues. So I came through the alphabet soup and needed a little more time, I suppose.
For sure, there at the end, I'm sure you're kind of salivating over those drivers kind of swapping positions, trying out different lines as the night went on. Was the top working for you there? We saw you dart back down to about the middle of the track trying to chase Proudfoot.
Through the middle, I was pretty much burning up time trying to get the top 4 in. I was the only one up there. I was just hoping it would finally come in. Them guys were all still on the bottom, and then then the cost came out and it finally started to change a little bit, and then I could start sniffing on the leaders. So I just started searching. You know, you still got to go where they're not. So.
Yeah, that's the only way to pass cars when they're all over the track like that. Lon, before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank for your run tonight?
Yeah, my team, JRE, Evil One Graphics for the wrap. You guys for putting the race on. Friends and family for watching. And Lowell and the guys for giving us a place to race. I appreciate it.
For sure. Congratulations on your run tonight. We appreciate you giving us a bit of your time tonight.
No problem. Thank you.
That was Lon Franks finishing on the tail end of your podium. Before we go ahead and wrap things up, though, the next BRL Dirt Street Stock broadcast will be next week, the same time as tonight, March 4th, from the dirt track at Charlotte. That goes live at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. The next Virtual Group Network broadcast is going to be tomorrow, February 26th, the BRL Grand National Series from Lanier National Speedway. That goes live at 8:55 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Austin Belke. Alongside me in the booth was John Hine. Bringing us all those great camera angles was Mike Yao. This has been a production of the Virtual Grip Network. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.